This is Fairy Garden Startup. What you need to know about plants. Hello, I'm Sandra Rosenaw, Master Gardener with Benton Franklin County Extension Service here in the Tri-Cities. If you have small children in your home and want to start with fairy gardens, you could take a pot, add 6-8 inches of potting soil, put in some soft lawn grasses, some clover, let the children decorate it with sparkly fairy ornaments, and that will be fine for them. They will really enjoy it, especially when they get to give the grass a haircut. If you're ready to move on to more sophisticated plants, however, then we have many options. The first thing I wanted to cover is this grid that I laid out. The lower row is low water plants, and low water plants usually prefer to get a lot of water all at one time, and then they drain, and then they prefer to dry out completely. So for example, a cactus. High water plants prefer to have more regular water and soil that stays just a little bit damp, not wet but damp. This column here would be our hot sun plants. So I'm going to put, I don't have a cactus to show you, but I'm pretending this rock is a cactus. Cactus would go here, hot sun, low water. This row would be shade plants, those plants that really don't like sun at all. The ones in the center, part sun, those are plants that enjoy having sun. They can take some heat, but they really do not like 5 hours of 105-degree sun in the afternoon in the Tri-Cities. So those are ones that do well in the sun in the spring and the fall, but put them in a sheltered spot in the summertime. They would do well on the east side of a house, for example. So let's look at some of my favorite plants. We talked about how cactus go in the low water, hot sun area. There are many plants called succulents, and the succulents, I put them like right here. A succulent also likes low water and hot sun, but not quite as much as a cactus. One succulent that everybody really likes is the hens and chicks. You can get it in orange or green, multiple colors, and the mother hen will create chicks as it grows. I'm going to put that right here because they actually don't like it too hot and too dry, but they're pretty flexible. They can endure hot sun, more regular water than the cactus types of plants. There is a whole grouping of plants called sedum, and I love sedum. They come in a broad variety of different styles, different types of plants. This one is called Oregon Stonecrop, and it makes these delightful little spires. And the thing about sedum is they're very flexible. They can handle low water in the part sun, and in the hot sun they'll do quite well as well. They do like hot sun as long as they get enough water. So you can put sedum in a swath like this. They're sort of like soft succulents. This sedum is called Golden Carpet. It makes these lovely little tiny spires, and then in May and June it produces a carpet of golden flowers. Again, it can be low water in part sun or high water in full sun. This is a sedum called Blue Spruce, and it makes a very woodsy effect. It actually looks like a tree, a blue spruce tree, until it starts to get long, and then it will drape. But it does make a nice woodsy effect in a fairy garden. This plant is called Elven Thyme. It makes a low carpet of very delicate little leaves, perfect for fairies to dance on. The thyme family includes plants like mother of thyme, creeping woolly thyme. Elven thyme is the flattest and lowest of them. it prefers part sun and somewhere in between here. Not exactly high water, but not exactly low water either. So I'll put it like right there. We all know that fairies love to dance among the ferns, but it's really hard to find a fern that is small enough to fit in a fairy pot. This is the next best thing. This plant is called New Zealand brass buttons. It looks exactly like a fern. It spreads by rhizome under the soil. It's a beautiful green color. Again, it prefers more high water and part sun. Another plant that's actually delightful for fairy gardens is the Irish moss, which of course is not really a moss, we just call it that. It has delicate little white flowers. It forms a mat. It will spread across your pot. And again, it prefers more water and part sun. So moving into plants that prefer shade, this is called the shade violet. It doesn't get any bigger than this, which makes it really good for fairy gardens. It prefers shade, but it can handle some sun. So I'll put it like right there. It produces beautiful blue flowers in the early spring, and they open out, you can't see I'm sure on the video, into these little three-way seed pods. And this is a true shade plant called Sweet Jenny. It spreads, it will form little rootlets. It prefers high water and complete shade. So this is a variety of plants, and the point of all this is that you group the plants together in order that they will thrive together. You could put these plants in a pot. If you wanted to do a southwestern design, a desert kind of design, you would have your cactus and some succulents. Maybe not getting into the sedums because that's a little bit, they prefer a little bit more dampness. If you're doing something with these plants, they go quite well together. The sedums, the thyme, the New Zealand brass buttons, and the Irish moss. If you want to do a shade plant, these two would go very well together, the Sweet Jennies with the shade violets. So if someone gives you a plant, what do you need to know? The thing to ask is, how do I take care of it? You have to ask, what kind of sun does it want? What kind of water does it want? So you can kind of figure out what plants it will go with. If you go to the nursery and get a pot from the nursery, it will have a tag. And the tag will tell you what kind of sun, what kind of soil, what kind of water. If you get that information and group your plants in your pot, then your plants will thrive. You do not want to be mixing a Sweet Jenny with a succulent. That's not going to work. So that's what I wanted to say about fairy gardens, except that here's an example of one. This is one of my favorites, and it's got different types of sedum, and it has the New Zealand brass buttons and elven thyme, and it's one of my favorites. Happy gardening!